Hey you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Aaliyah and this is A18 Beauty. It's been a while since I've been back on YouTube, but I wanted to come in very strong with today's video and my concept for basically the rest of my future uploads. Let's kind of get a little introductory here about what's going on with this video that I'm so eager to be filming for you guys right now. If you guys know who Bailey Sarian is, then you might have somewhat of an idea as to what's going on here. Bailey Sarian is a YouTuber, for those of you who do not know, who has created the concept called murder mystery makeup. And wow, is it amazing. I love it so much. I'm so happy that she's starting to upload more again, as much as I do love also watching her dark history. I have been missing her murder mystery makeup. Well, just like Bailey, I'm going to be combining my love of makeup, but not with murder mysteries. I'm going to let Miss Bailey the Queen cover that, and I am actually going to be diving into something that I find just a little bit more interesting than murder mysteries. I will be diving into the spiritual world and the paranormal. Yes, on my channel I have come up with the concept haunted with makeup. I have been sitting on this idea for a little while now, and I'm finally getting around to filming the first video because I feel like this video might be something that would pique other people's interest as well. So yes, I'm going to be doing makeup with haunted videos. They will be covering very real, very scary paranormal experiences that have been known or not known across the world. We will be covering places, stories, people, you name it, anything that will involve spirits and the paranormal. We will be covering that in these videos. Each video will be titled Haunted with Makeup. We'll be uploading once a week with a new Haunted with Makeup video. With that very long introduction, let's jump into this video because I'm pretty sure you are dying to know what I will be talking about today. And it is a very good one, I have to tell you that. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Grab a snack, grab a blanket, get cozy, turn off the lights if you want to, and let's get into this Haunted with Makeup session. Okay, what you've all been waiting for. In today's video of Haunted with Makeup, we are going to be covering the Conjuring House. Yes, sorry for that little squeal. The Conjuring movies are probably one of my favorite paranormal series. So I am super excited to be covering this one because if you have heard of the Conjuring movies, then you know exactly what we're going to be talking about today. And if you haven't heard about the Conjuring movies, then you are going to be learning a lot, trust me. Let's go ahead and get right into this video. Also, side note, I will be listing in the description below all of the products that I'm going to be using on my face in this video. So if you want to know, it'll be just down below. I'm going to paint a picture for you guys. So just get into that headspace and we're going to be painting this picture, right? The year is 1971. What a time. And this very eager family has just moved into what could probably be described maybe their dream home. Thinking, wow, they probably hit the lottery in 1971. But little did this family know that this house would go on to probably be their worst nightmare. And I do not say that with a faint heart, because the things that occurred in this house were truly terrifying. And I do feel very sorry for the family that they had to experience these things. In 1971, Caroline and Roger Perrin moved them and their 5 daughters into the Harrisville farmhouse, located in Burrisville, Rhode Island. This house consists of 14 rooms and sits on 8.5 acres of land. Now, all of these rooms, trust me when I looked into it, they're not all bedrooms. The house consists of 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bathrooms, and the rest are pretty much in one library, and the rest is pretty much living rooms. So it's a house that consists just of a lot of single rooms, but still is a very big house and on quite a bit of land. A quick side note, I hope you guys like my little setup I have going on back there. I wasn't quite sure what to do for this spooky time video, so I just kind of decorated my books, my book collection I have back there going on. I hope you guys like it. I hope it adds a little bit of flavor to this video we got going on here tonight. So like I said, this house seems lovely, right? I mean, you got a lot of room, you got some land, you know, it seems like, ultimately, it seems like a good home. But that would not be true for the parent family, because as soon as they move in, weird things start to happen. Right away. I can understand, because I lived in a haunted house as well, and it was almost instantaneous, I cannot say that word, instantaneously, as soon as we moved in, things started happening. So for the parent family, right away, moving into their lovely home with their 5 daughters, and things just start to go wrong. And Caroline would be the first to notice these unusual things. Now, what would Caroline experience, you may be wondering? She would say that the broom would mysteriously move around from room to room on its own, and she didn't know who was doing this. She knew she wasn't doing it, but she had no idea why. She would remember it being in one spot, and then it mysteriously ending up somewhere else completely different from where she originally had it. Whatever is going on in this house, it seemed to have started off quietly. Doing little things first before kind of like easing the family into exactly what was going to be happening if they lived in this house. When you think about it, I want you to keep that in mind, because it seems that way, that whatever is, you know, starting to move things around in the house seems to be doing its haunting slowly. Not all at once, but slowly. So with the broom, Caroline would also go on to hearing scratching on her kettle. Just scraping. She just heard the sound of scraping happening on her kettle when she would be in the kitchen. That would probably freak me out, especially if you know you're home alone, you know nobody else is around, and all of a sudden you just start hearing scraping. Just imagine that, hearing scraping. You're in your kitchen, you're cooking, and then all of a sudden you just start hearing a scraping noise behind you, knowing nobody else is home. That would freak me out. I would probably leave my home. I'm not gonna lie. So she's very strong. And then from there, Caroline would also start having mysterious piles of dirt start to appear in random areas. She would just have little small dirt piles just appearing around the house. Now, I don't know about you, but that would be a tipping point for me. I do not like cleaning up my own messes, let alone when I like to be cleaning up somebody else's. That would definitely freak me out and make me upset at the same time when I think about it. Yeah. Because, like I said, I don't like cleaning up my own messes. I don't want to clean up anybody else's. Now, at this point, Caroline would not be the only one experiencing things going on in the house. Their 5 daughters. Here we go. I'm going to try to line this up from remembrance. If I do not remember, then you're going to see me look down at my paper like that. Starting off with the eldest, Andrea. Next, here we go. We have Nancy, Christine, Cynthia, and April. Now, I remember Andrea's name because she's going to be playing a pretty big role in this video. But yes, they had 5 daughters, and they also started to experience some unusual things happening. The girls themselves would actually see spirits. It's not uncommon for children to be the first to be able to communicate or see spirits roaming around. Mentally, children are more open-minded than grown adults. Let's just keep it there. Yeah, children are mostly open-minded when it comes to things like this. So it's more easier for them to experience and see spirits. Now the daughters said that most of the spirits they encountered were okay. They were nice. They were friendly, more tamed spirits. But they did go on to say that some of the spirits that they experienced were angry. Now, as a kid, that would probably be terrifying to experience. An angry spirits, especially when you have no idea what is going on, who they are, and what's happening. But unfortunately, they did have to experience not only with nice spirits, but bad spirits as well. So on top of Caroline experiencing all of these weird misplacement of items, piles of dirt, noises, the girls seeing spirits, the family also would experience to smell rotting flesh. Yes, reading my notes right. Upon my research, they started to smell rotting flesh. That is pretty distinct. Rotting flesh. How could it get any worse from here? Well, I'm going to tell you how it can get worse from there. Because not only do they start experiencing smells in the house, they also start to experience their beds levitating off the floor while they slept. I'm going to let that one sit for a second. Think about it. You're asleep. And then all of a sudden you wake up. It's dark. It's, still dark outside. And your bed is lifting off the floor. Now in that state, you're probably half asleep. You're probably thinking, what the hell's going on here? You're probably thinking it's a dream. But then you wake up and find out that you are not the only one that experienced it that night, that others also experienced waking up in the middle of the night to their bed lifting up off the ground. Do you guys remember when I told you that Andrea, the eldest daughter, was going to be a major part in this story? Well, Andrea would go on to write a book when she became older called House of Darkness, House of Light. And in this book, she mentions a lot of experiences that she had in the house. And one of those experiences was being possessed while living in the house. So with all of these things happening to the family, Caroline would decide to do a little bit of her own research into the house. Kind of wanting to figure out, what happened before they decided to move in. What exactly is going on here? Is there some explanation possibly into their experiences in the home that she could possibly find through the history of the house? Now, this is the point in the video where we jump into the Harrisville farmhouse and we learn a little bit about its history. Caroline would go on to discover that before her and her family moved into the home had 8 generations of the same family residing in the home, in the Harrisville farmhouse, before her family did. This 8th generation of family, that lived in the Harrisville farmhouse before the Perrin family was the Arnold family. And the information that I found about the house, I found through various articles, reading, Googling, trying to see kind of like what happened in this house prior to the Perrin family. So please bear with me with this information. A lot of things were very contradicting. I mean, apparently, same goes with the Conjuring House and the Perrin family story. You know, you're going to find a lot of contradicting things. So this is what I found to my best of knowledge about the Harrisville farmhouse before the Perrin family. So the Harrisville house was originally known as the Dexter Richardson house because it was built by the Richardson family in 1736. During this time, the Harrisville house was 200 acres, not 8.5 acres, so there was a lot more land at this time. But the family of interest here is the Arnold family. So before it was the Harrisville farmhouse, it was the Arnold estate. According to the Burrisville town records, there were numerous deaths that happened on the Harrisville land. Around the land, near the farmhouse, just a lot of death happened. So a bit of a warning to anybody that does not like hearing about death, certain deaths especially, because everything that happened in this house that I'm about to list, just a lot happened. So just a little bit of a warning, but I will be going ahead and running through that list of deaths that occurred near, in, around the Harrisville farmhouse during the time of the Arnold family residing in the home. So according to the records, the home experienced 2 suicides by hanging, 1 suicide by poison, 2 drownings, 4 men frozen to death, 1 tragic loss, and a rape and murder of 11-year-old Prudence Arnold. That is quite the heavy list when you think about it. When you think about the home's history, a lot happened. And besides all of that death that happened, a lot of people do believe that the hauntings can also be because of the wars that would happen between Native Americans and English immigrants around the 1670s. I mean, you know, when you think about the history of lands before we lived on it, there was a lot of stuff that went on. A lot of death, a lot of sadness, just a lot of fighting. A lot of things happened, when you think about it, before we resided here. Well, that goes for the Perrin family and the Harrisville farmhouse. Before they moved in, a lot of stuff happened on that land that is truly sad. It's terrifying to know, but a lot of terrible things happened, a lot of death happened before they moved in. Now, this is not the only history that we're going to be learning about the Harrisville farmhouse prior to the Perrin family. We're going to be learning a little bit more, but we are now going to be transitioning out of the history of the farmhouse back to the Perrin family and what they decided to do upon finding out this information, and also their experiences that they were happening to them in the house. So with all of the things happening, the research that Caroline found about the house, Caroline and Roger would go on to seek help from a paranormal investigating couple, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now this is when we introduce Ed and Lorraine Warren into the Conjuring House and what role they played with the Perrin family and the happenings in the Conjuring House. So here's a little briefing about who Ed and Lorraine Warren were. Ed and Lorraine were demonologists who sought to help and bring awareness to the paranormal world. Prior to the Conjuring House, They were already famously known for the Amityville house and investigating it and everything that went on there. The Amityville house is another story that I do want to cover on this channel for you guys later on. If you guys want that to be sooner, just let me know in the comments. But yes, prior to the Conjuring House, they were already famously known for the haunting of the Amityville Horror House. In 1952, Anne and Lorraine founded the New England Society of Psychic Research. You hear the word psychic, and here is a key thing to know. Lorraine Warren was known for being a medium and clairvoyant. If you do not know what a medium or being clairvoyant is, basically, to give you a little bit of a definition, Lorraine, being a medium, she was able to talk to, experience, and just have a vast knowledge of spirits personally. Since she was a medium, she was clairvoyant, she was able to connect to them on a level that not very many people can connect to spirits. Like I said, she could speak to them, she could even see them. Lorraine played a big role in a lot of their paranormal investigations because of the fact that she was a medium. And like I said, she could experience and talk to these spirits on a personal level that not very many people can. Now, Ed and Lorraine Warren would go on a very crazy investigation with the Perron family that would lead to some truly terrifying experiences and uncover some answers to what might possibly be haunting the family on the Harrisville farm, in the Harrisville house. Over the course of the Perron family living in the Harrisville house, the Warrens would visit frequently. They would hold various paranormal investigations within the home with the family, documenting everything that they experienced. A lot of the things that they would experience were truly insane, you guys. Lorraine would conduct many seances within the home, trying to communicate with the spirits and try to figure out exactly what was going on, maybe try to get more of an inside view to see what spirits were okay with the Perron family residing in the home and what spirits weren't okay with it. With the investigation going on, Ed and Lorraine would come to discover that Caroline would be a very key factor in this investigation, because whatever seemed to be haunting the family seemed to be directing a lot of its anger towards Caroline. And in Andrea's book, she would go on to mention a spirit that seemed to have been threatened by her mother's position that she held in the house, you know, being woman of the house. That probably would have led this spirit to go after her the most. Now, one experience that Caroline would go through, one day while she was sleeping on the couch, she felt a sharp pain in her calf. She also noticed that there was a small puddle of blood where she had felt that sharp pain, and she didn't know exactly what it was from, what happened. Andrea would go on to say that in her book, it seemed as if her mother was punctured with a needle because the hole of the wound was just so perfectly circular. It almost seemed as if, like I said, she was somehow punctured with a sewing needle, just how perfectly round that her wound was. Upon hearing the story, Lorraine would tell Caroline that to her it seemed as if she was being haunted by the spirit of Bathsheba, just based off of the story of Caroline's mysterious wound. Now we're in this portion of the video, we're going to be jumping into who was Bathsheba and why was she possibly causing pain to Caroline. What's going on here? What's the connection that Lorraine made to suggest that this was possibly the spirit haunting Caroline. We're going to be discussing Bathsheba Sherman, who was very real, you guys. She lived during the 1800s around the Harrisville farmhouse. Now, with my research, I was not exactly able to somewhat sort of pinpoint whether she resided on the land or near the land. But either way, she is somehow connected to the story because of her involvement being somewhere in the vicinity of the Harrisville farmhouse. Now, Bathsheba Sherman did have a family. She had a husband and a son, and she did reside in Burrisville, Rhode Island. Now we know who Bathsheba Sherman is. What is so interesting about Bathsheba herself? Bathsheba, unfortunately, was accused of being a witch. Guys, it was the 1800s. Times were different. Why was Bathsheba accused of being a witch? That is the key question right here. Bathsheba reportedly lost a child, a baby, an infant, in her care. She was watching the child, and the infant passed away while she was babysitting it. Upon searching the baby's body, they discovered that the baby had a puncture wound in the lower base of its skull that they believed was caused by a sewing needle. Are you getting the connection here? This is where we find our connection between Caroline and Bathsheba. Now, nobody knows if Bathsheba actually did kill this infant. She would go on to a trial and not be accused of this crime, but a lot of people didn't believe it. They weren't buying it. They were like, she hurt this baby. She did it because she sacrificed the baby in some satanic ritual. And with that, a lot of people started to accuse Bathsheba of being a witch. This tale would go on to pretty much be attached to her and her name pretty much throughout her life. There was no evidence to prove that Bathsheba truly was a witch or that she did kill the baby. A lot of it's still speculation because, like I said, there is no truth behind it. This is what they found, and this is who Lorraine believed was haunting Caroline this whole entire time, especially causing her harm. So, you know, this theory isn't way off base because it could possibly be the spirit that's haunting her, but at the same time, it could not be. I feel like it's kind of all based on your perspective and what you think, because it is unusual that during Bathsheba's care of the baby that this infant did pass away, especially to what they believe upon examining the baby's body caused the death. At the same time, people could have been accusing an innocent woman of doing a heinous crime and then accusing her of being a witch for it, practicing satanic things. And which that is also sad because, you know, a lot of the time some spirits are misunderstood, especially about their past and their history, and we don't know clearly and truly because we did not live during that time. We do not know exactly what happened. But this is a possible link to the spirit that was attacking Caroline while the parent family was living in the Harrisville home. So during the investigation, this very lengthy investigation, there would be one incident that would lead Roger Perrin to kick Ed and Lorraine Warren out of their house, closing up the investigation and putting an end to what seemed like torture to his family. Now, what's going on? You're wondering, what happened? What happened? You guys, I'm going to tell you what happened. During one of Lorraine's seances, Caroline would unfortunately become possessed by a spirit during this particular seance that they were doing that night. What I'm about to share with you guys is pretty terrifying stuff. And if you've seen the movie, the Conjuring movie, then you probably know already what I'm going to be talking about. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, what happened in that movie happened in real life, according to the parents and the Warrens. What happened to Caroline Perrin during this investigation was true. Paint another picture for you guys here. You're doing a seance at night. Suddenly, somebody becomes possessed by a spirit that seems to not want you or your family to be living in the home that you were living in. Caroline Rogers was levitated off the floor in her chair, thrown around, and was speaking in tongue. Now, if you're wondering, what does speaking in tongue mean? I will give you guys a small description about what speaking in tongue means. Basically, just not speaking in your own language. So she was not speaking English, you guys, which is said to believe to happen, when somebody gets possessed. Sometimes they do not speak in their language. They end up developing some knowledge of another language randomly. And that's kind of what happened to Caroline Perrin here. She just randomly started speaking another language without any knowledge of that language itself. Now, their eldest daughter would go on to say that she did experience seeing her mom go through this possession, which I could imagine as a child would probably be truly terrifying. So Caroline does survive this possession, but she is, badly, honestly, probably beaten up at this point, scared, just overall terrified. And her husband, Roger, can see basically everything that his wife is being put through, and he can't stand it. He can't stand it. At this point, things are just getting way too scary, way too real, way too serious for him to want to continue further investigation. Because at this point, maybe the investigation was probably causing more of an uproar than it was probably helping at this point, when you think about it. With his wife, just in a terrible state, his kids frightened, Roger would go on to make the decision to stop the investigations and kick Ed and Lorraine out of the Harrisville farmhouse, ending all further investigation in order to protect his wife's mental health and his family. I can totally understand that. I totally understand that. He was just doing what he felt was best for his family, especially after all of the seances that Lorraine was doing, and this final one seeming to have caused the ultimate damage, and seeing his wife in a truly awful state that he just did not want to see her in anymore, why it would lead him to stop these paranormal investigations. You're probably wondering, why didn't they just move? Unfortunately, the Perrin family could not move out of their house due to financial issues. Finances kind of would drag us down, keep us from moving out of a house that's clearly torturing us. But when you don't have much to do, you really don't have much that you can do. And the Perrin family would go on to live in the house for 10 years. They finally moved out in 1980 and put the house to rest and in their past. Like I said, Andrea, the oldest daughter, would actually go on to write a book about her experience living in the house. House of Darkness, House of Light. If you guys want to go ahead and check it out. You might be wondering what happened to the Conjuring House after the family moved out. Well, somebody else would go on to buy the home. Apparently, when this person moved into the home, they had plans to renovate the home. And upon renovating the home, they just ran out of their house screaming and never went back. And then the house was kind of left for a long period of time with nobody living in the home. the home would eventually go on to be purchased by a couple who has famously allowed various paranormal investigators to investigate the home. Yes, quite interesting, right? You can actually go and stay at the Conjuring House and investigate it. I don't know about staying, but you can actually go and investigate the Conjuring House. Why? But, you know, for all those thrill seekers and people who want to just kind of get some clear evidence that the paranormal does exist, you can go to the Conjuring House and find out for yourself. I'm gonna go put on some lashes, fix my hair, and we're gonna do a quick recap of everything in the video, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Hair done, lashes on. We're going to be getting into the end of this video. I kind of want to wrap things up talking a little bit about what happened. The Perrin family moved into the Harrisville farmhouse and experienced some truly terrifying paranormal experiences throughout the 10 years that they lived within this home. Now, in Andrea Perrin's book that she wrote later on in life, she did go on to mention that there may have been sort of a clue that would have given her parents just a little bit of a foreshadowing of what would happen in the home. She did mention that when they were given the keys to the house, that the owner had mentioned to leave the lights on at night because things would happen. If that wasn't a sign right there, I don't know what would be. You definitely don't want to hear that leaving the lights on at night would help with some of the things that would be going on at night while you slept, which was truly honest considering the fact that at night they would experience their beds levitating while they slept and such on things. So the Conjuring House today, like I had mentioned, you can investigate it, but I think I did read an article stating that the current homeowners are actually trying to sell the house, so they're trying to move out of the house after years of doing their own paranormal investigations on the home and having various people come over to investigate the home as well. You know, there are a lot of famous paranormal teams that have investigated this home, from Ghost Hunters, I believe Ghost Adventurers did as well as Kindred Spirits. They also investigated the house. This episode I did watch with my mom, and it was truly amazing what Amy and Adam found in the house while investigating it. They also brought the daughters back to the home to kind of get their take on how they felt being away from the home for a really long time, which I said was truly awesome. So I would go watch that episode of Kindred Spirits if you guys would like to get to see exactly the daughters' reactions and being in that home again and the investigation that they conducted on the home as well. Along with, there are some YouTubers that have gone to this house. If you guys do not know, the YouTuber Sam and Colby did go to this house. The YouTuber Exploring with Josh went to this house. There are a lot of YouTubers that also did their own paranormal investigations on this home. I will, if I can figure it out, I will link in the description those videos so you guys can go ahead and check them out and see the investigations that they performed on the home. But with that, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was very interesting for me to dive deep into, considering the fact, like I said, I do enjoy the Conjuring. Conjuring movie is one of my favorite paranormal movies out there. But if you guys enjoy this video, go ahead and subscribe, because there's more to come. Who knows what I'll be doing my next Haunted with Makeup video about. It might be something that you guys suggest in the comments if you guys want to suggest some. It might not be. It might be something that you guys probably have never heard before. So that is kind of the mystery at this point, what I will be doing next. But like I said, please, please subscribe, like this video, show it some love so that I can continue creating content for you guys that you guys will enjoy. And with that, this video comes to a haunting end, and I will catch you guys in the next one.